Here are 8 ways to look after your body and your mind on a farm, in particular a flower farm. Hi everyone, it's Phaedra from Noble Flowers. We flower farm over here in Australia, in one of the most beautiful parts of the world, and we're coming into our 4th season. We realise that we use our bodies and minds a lot in this work, and here are some ways that you can be more gentle and kind to your body and your mind, and these are things that we practice. Our bodies need to last us a lifetime, and the more we look after them, the more work we can do, especially on the farm. So we need to find ways to protect our back and our joints and our mechanics of how our body works. For example, look up correct lifting technique so that you know that you're not putting so much strain on your back when you're lifting, you're using your legs. And there's also different braces and implements that you can use to help you. I'll often use a back brace, and it just stops me from hinging at the wrong point in my back when I'm lifting. And wrist braces, if you're getting, I get sore wrists, so just adding some extra support where needed, and not only to your body but also with the tasks that you're doing. So there's lots of tools out there that can help you, such as a rotary hoe or a tiller rather than tilling the ground by hand, and also this post lifter. So we were wiggling them around in the ground and lifting them out, and then we found this tool and it just pops posts out of the ground. So you really want to find ways to reduce the strain on your body. And if you don't quite have the money to go out and buy all the tools, we haven't been able to do that. You just write a list of the things that you need and you start working from the top of the list and grab what you can and then look after yourself with everything else. As we age, we'll naturally experience loss of muscle strength, and we can also experience loss in our bone density. These losses increase our risk of injury, which is a pretty big problem when you're on a farm, but it also decreases our endurance and our flexibility, which also impact our ability to work on our farms. To help our muscles, we can resistance train, and there's lots of tools available. We can just use our own body weight. We can use resistance bands or actual weights to work our muscles. And if we implement a regular stretching routine, we'll increase our range of movement, flexibility, and extension. And all of these things are going to help us on the farm. This leads us into cardio health. So these are exercises that raise our heart rate, things like running, walking, swimming, cycling, anything where we're getting our heart pumping a little bit more. And the benefit of that is it's not just helping our hearts, it's also pushing oxygen around our body, which is helping every part of our body. I know that it sounds complicated and time consuming to add this into your already busy life, especially when what you do is already very physical. The thing is, our bodies get used to our day-to-day, and for me, the work that I do outside on the farm, it's kind of like status quo for my body. I don't really think I'm getting... I know it's better than sitting at a desk, but I don't think I'm getting as much benefit from it as I was in the beginning. So what I do now is I try to spend an hour each day. I do 30 minutes of cardio, and most of the time it's inside on the treadmill, but if I can, I'll go for a walk somewhere really beautiful, and it's actually really good for... I felt so happy last night when I went to this beautiful walk around a lake, and I will then do around 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes of weights. So it's not a lot, it's just a little bit every day, and I'll do 10 to 15 minutes of stretching. And I've noticed a massive improvement. I was waking up with kind of very stiff ankles, like I didn't have a lot of flexibility in my ankle joint, and it's all kind of come good again now. Book it in, just get going on it, and eventually end up looking forward to it. And I really, really love my time looking after my own body now. Something else to really be careful of is to make sure you're protecting your lungs from dust, particles, chemicals, aerosols, to wear a mask and to keep those things out of your lungs. We have disposable masks here on the farm, but we also have more heavy duty masks, and we use those for things where there's fumes or VOCs or chemicals. And the disposable mask, we use it more for things like dust and soils and particles. Whenever you're doing something around the farm, just think to yourself, are you breathing something in other than nice clean air? And if you are, think about putting a mask on to protect your lungs. They're really important, and from friends who've had problems where they've ended up in hospital even because they've breathed stuff in that they would be better to have not breathed in, it really sets you back. And we really can't often afford a couple of days in a hospital for something that we could have prevented here on the farm. Avoid sunburn and try and stay hydrated. Our skin is precious. We need it to last our lifetime, and we of course want it to stay in really good condition. We can do the usual things like put a hat on, sunscreen, protective clothing, sunglasses. But in addition to that, something else I do is I get a yearly skin check. I go to a skin cancer doctor and they look over my whole body at the moles, make sure nothing's changed. And I do that so that if I do develop a skin cancer, it's detected early and I've got a much higher success rate. Also, keep your skin hydrated. Being out in the elements a lot of the time, the effect on the skin is it dries it out, and that can affect the texture and the elasticity of the skin. So keep up the fluids, keep drinking water, moisturize your skin so it stays nice and a good texture. Not only is it healthier for your skin, but it also looks nicer too. If you're in the thick of farming or you're thinking about starting, stress is something that is going to become a part of your life. Farming is very unpredictable, and the stresses of farming combined with all the stresses of your life in general are going to get to you if you don't do something to look after yourself. We all experience stress, whether we're farming or not, and some of the stresses we can do something about and some we can't. So obviously for the ones that you can reduce or eliminate from your life, work on doing those. And sometimes what we need to do is sit down and actually write a list down of the things that we feel are stressing us out and categorize them into something, I can do something about this, or I can't do anything about this. So even if we can't do anything about some of these stresses, there are things we can do to reduce the impact it has on our body. And just 3 of the things that I do, and I learnt this years ago when my body was really freaking out from stress and I needed external help to try to combat that. And they weren't stresses I could do anything about. So what I was told to do is take magnesium baths. And if you're a bath person, just chuck some magnesium in there with your bath to help relax you a little bit. And you can get really nice ones with different scents and with petals and all sorts of stuff, so you can have a really nice time in the bath. Another is breath work, and there's lots of different styles. If you're not sure of any of them, just go and look up box breathing. And there's also a man called Wim Hof. If you research him, he has plenty of free videos that will teach you some breathing techniques. Something else we've been working on is eliminating pain points. So if you haven't heard of pain points before, they're aspects of your life that cause pain. And in another word for stress. So for example, I had a nice set of matching towels in the bathroom that always ended up on the floor. And it was never anybody's fault when I'd say, hey, who left their towel on the floor? Oh, I didn't do it. And I'd had enough. Like, this is every day. It's just this tiny little thing, but it was a pain point and I had to get rid of it. So what I did was I didn't get rid of it. I washed those towels, packed them in the cupboard. They're just spares now. And I said to every family member, choose a towel. Of course, the oldest daughter chooses the most expensive towel she can find. I think it was like $80 or something silly. But I didn't care. Like, that's her towel. She's responsible for it. If I find it on the floor, I'm going to know that's her. And guess what? No more towels on the floor. So we're extending this now. Another pain point is our kitchen and the washing up situation. Nobody wants to wash up, even though it's assigned task to somebody. They don't want to do it or they won't do it properly. So what I'm thinking is, and the other thing is using 15 cups throughout the day per person. So to eliminate this, I've sort of said to the family, why don't we all go and choose our own plate, cup, bowl set and our own cutlery set? And most of the time it's just our family here at home, so we can have those in our cupboards. Just put the sets, like the cutlery set and the dinner set, away for when we have people over or we need spares. And now everybody's going to be responsible for washing their own things in the kitchen, which is going to eliminate a lot of stress. Another one was I don't know if you've got a lot of devices in your home, but we do, and there were chargers everywhere. On every bench top, there was a charger with some sort of device on it, and devices were getting lost all the time. So what I did was this was actually one of those wheelie under bed drawer things. I got one of those, added shelves and doors to it and mounted it to my wall, and it's now a charging cupboard. So I've put leads all through it. There's a power point in behind it, so I just cut a hole in the back of the cupboard for the power point. I think there's 2 power points in there, and it is now our charging cupboard. Everything that is a device lives in that cupboard. That has hugely reduced a pain point, and I feel like there's going to be stresses on your farm that you can't do anything about, but you can control the other stressors that are going to impact you as well. And I've found it's really, really helped, and I hope those ideas will help you too. The next one is sleep, and this one takes a lot of discipline because sometimes all we want to do is sit up all night and watch episodes of Bridgerton. And it's a trap that ends up leaving you very tired and very cranky the next day. And it just makes life on a farm very hard. Of all the things that I've mentioned so far, sleep is the one I have the most trouble with. But here are a few things that I'm working on and are slowly helping. So the first one is set a timer for bedtime. I actually have mine go off an hour before bedtime, and it just kind of alerts me to realize the time, make sure that I'm ready for bed, that I've had my shower, brushed my teeth, everything's ready for bed. And also, it reminds me not to start watching anything that is going to push me over my bedtime, so that I can really stick to a schedule for sleeping. Something else that I've found help is sleep tracking, and I don't have a tracker at the moment, but the times that I did, it really helped me kind of be aware of what my sleep is, and it's motivating to go to bed at a particular time and wake up at a particular time because you get sleep scores. It's kind of like playing a game with yourself and you're trying to improve and get better. And if you're sleeping really well, life on a farm is so much easier. Fueling yourself is really important. Something I noticed I was doing is I'm getting so caught up out in the garden that I'm forgetting to come inside and eat, which is very counterintuitive because then you don't have the energy to actually keep working and you end up coming inside and just kind of crashing on the couch because you can't go anymore. So it's really important. Keep hydrated. If you have trouble remembering to drink water, grab yourself a really nice drink bottle and take it with you while you're farming, and make sure you take breaks to eat. I've just found it's really important. I often skip to lunch and I just have dinner. I've actually found, and you need to find out what works best for you, but I've actually found what works best for me is have a breakfast, so then I've got that morning shift to work hard, and then I'll come in, have lunch, and then I've got energy to get myself through the afternoon. And for us, we just have a really light tea. When I make dinner at lunchtime, I actually put the meals aside for the kids and they have that when they get home from school. So we're now eating much earlier in the day and we've finished eating earlier in the day. And for us, that's really worked well. I'm not saying you have to do that, but just what I am saying is just find a routine that works, that includes eating nourishing meals so that you actually fuel your body and you're not kind of so starved for energy after working for 6 to 7 hours because you forgot to eat that you just go and snack on foods that aren't really that helpful, like really sugary foods or really salty foods. Eating regularly, I found, also makes you less cranky, which is also positive when you're working in a stressful environment. I think what it all comes down to in the end is discipline, finding what works for you, making a plan and then sticking to the plan. If you need to set alarms, set the alarm and then respect the alarm. Do the thing that your alarm was prompting you to do. If you've decided to exercise, try and stick to it. Respect that as an appointment for yourself that you've made to improve yourself and to improve your health. What I found was maybe the first month, 4 to 6 weeks, I sort of had to really make myself go and do it, but now I look forward to it. And it doesn't take long for you to start seeing little tiny results and improvements, and it's really motivating to keep going. Choose to protect your lungs every time. Don't forget that one. It's really, really important. It's the same with your body. If you're doing something and you know you're at risk of injury, do the thing that's going to reduce the risk of injury. Just every time, protect your body and your lungs. say no more often to foods that drain you. So for me, that's sugar, and that's why I've put into place these ideas for eating a good breakfast and a good lunch. It's really helped reduce my cravings for snacks and sugars, because I'm not so depleted of energy that I'm just desperate for anything. If you've managed to eliminate stressors from your life, try not to let them back in. Try not to fall back into those bad habits that are going to allow those stressors to take over your life again. And if you're so stressed about things but you can't do anything about it, just try to put a few little things into place, like the breathing exercises or the magnesium bath, or even for me, going for a really beautiful walk in nature is really helpful. Just find something that really kind of brings you back down to earth and calms your body. If you're having trouble sitting up late binge watching TV, what we've done is we've made it a rule that, especially during times of very high stress and a lot of work, we won't start watching a series, because especially on Netflix, you watch a series and it just starts the next one for you. Like, it's 1 o'clock in the morning and you haven't even realized. So that's our rule. And if we're going to watch a movie, we'll start it early so that it's finished sort of by 9:30, 10 o'clock. Don't take shortcuts when it comes to manual tasks. If you bust up your body, you may not be able to do the task at all. So just take that little extra bit of time and put that thing into place that's going to help you protect your body. Farming is so rewarding. Despite how stressful it can be, there's actually so many aspects of it that are amazing. I mean, we work with flowers. Can you imagine what it's like to be on a flower farm and be surrounded by flowers through the whole growing season? It is amazing. It brings so much joy. That in itself, trying to enjoy your farm and enjoy what you're producing and trying to focus on the things that you've achieved rather than the enormous list of stuff you haven't got done. Because I'm telling you now, everybody has that huge list of tasks they haven't done. And the list will continue to grow. It's a never-ending list. So try not to get too bogged down on that list and try and focus on the things that you've achieved. I hope some of these ideas are things that you can implement into your life and your farming life, and I hope it really helps you with what you're doing, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi everyone. Right at the end of this video, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and also thank you to the people who have bought me more fence posts via Buy Me a Coffee. I'm actually using the money to buy fence posts to fence the flower field. So thank you so much to Heidi, Ben and the kids. I've known Heidi for a long time. They're dear friends of mine. And if they lived here, I know they'd be out here helping us all the time, and we'd be helping them set up their dream too. So I wish we lived closer. And also Lindsay, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. I can't wait to go and buy these fence posts and try to write your names on them neatly.